Hello, this is Tariq again, coming at you with another Adobe tutorial. And this time what we're going to be doing is creating a digital badge in Adobe Illustrator. The badge we'll be creating will be for the Robert Johnson Music Award, which is a hypothetical award being handed out to a student. Um, and I'm going to show you what it's going to look like. I'm going to show you what the finished product is going to look like. That's it right there. And you might notice that it looks a little bit like an old-time vinyl record, which is the look that I was going for. Of course, it couldn't have the black border as wide as a vinyl record would have, but I did make the border nice and thick, and the label is probably bigger in comparison to what the vinyl would be. But this is the look I'm going for, and in the tutorial that follows, I'm going to show you how to get it done. So now we are in Illustrator, and the first step, of course, is that we're going to create a new file. Now, a lot of times when I'm working on documents in Illustrator, I'll go for the biggest possible dimensions because I'm not sure what I want my project to be. Sometimes I add elements, or I'm working with elements in the margins of the artboard. So I'll go for a bigger size in terms of the document width and height. But in this particular case, I have a really good idea of how wide I want my project to be. So I'm going to make it 500 pixels in width and 500 pixels in height. And once I've entered that, I'm just going to say create. And there's our square looking artboard right there. First step is we're going to create that vinyl album shape on the outside, which is basically an ellipse. The way I like to work with ellipses and with most shapes in Illustrator, since basically I want a circle here, I'm going to select the shape. I'm going to click on my artboard. I know the dimensions I'm going for. It's going to be 450 by 450. I'm going to hit enter, and there's my circle right there. Right away, I'm going to set the stroke to the default color, which is black. And I'm going to make the stroke really thick because this is what's going to give us that thick border suggesting vinyl on the outside. I'm going to make it 20 points. I think that looks good, but once we've added the other elements, we can play around with that a little bit and see if that's what we're going for. Next, for the fill. Now, what I want in terms of the fill here is a gradient. And I'm going to go for one of the standard gradients over here that Adobe has packaged with Illustrator. So under gradients, I am going to go into the seasons. Now I know that what I want in the middle is a guitar that's kind of light blue, and I know a color that's complementary with the light blue that I'm going for is red. So I am going to go for this summer red right here, and that's going to be my fill. Now it's set up right now as a linear gradient. I'm going to change that to a radial. Right? And I don't like how it's getting really light in the center over here. So I'm going to eliminate that point. And I'm actually going to drag this one out to the end. Right? So now we have a darker shade of red. Right. I'm kind of happy with the way that looks. So next I'm going to go into the symbols. And I'm going to go once again into the standard library. And the library that I'm going for here is the Tiki. The Tiki has a nice guitar that I want to use that will work well for this project. I'm just going to drag it in here. That's my symbol, and that will represent the visual element of the badge that I want to create. So let's play around a little bit with the dimensions. Obviously, it's a little bit small right now compared to the size of my badge and the border. The width is at 56 pixels, and the height is at 134. The height of the width and height of our circle, don't forget, is 450. So why don't we try and make this guitar of ours 200 pixels in width and see what that gives us. I think it's going to be too big, but let's try it out. Yeah, it is too big. So let's try 200 as the height. That's closer to what I'm going for. Let's position this right here. There is going to be text going around it, so we want to leave some room on the sides. I might want to make this guitar a little bit bigger later on, but right now let's put the text in. Once we've got all the elements in there, then we can adjust the size of the guitar. Once again, I'm going to click on the ellipse tool. Our outside border was 450 pixels. I'm going to make the inside 300. Now this is what I'm going to be using to type in my text, right? So Illustrator by default uses the same settings as the shape that I had previously created. It has that thick black stroke and the gradient on the inside. I actually don't want either one of those things. I'm going to get rid of the stroke and I'm going to get rid of the fill. What I want to do here instead is I want to go into the type tool and I want to type on a path. I created this path so I could type on it. Right, and it puts in that standard Latin text, but that's not what we want to use. What we want to do here is we want to put in our Robert Johnson Music Award text. I'm going to select this text because obviously right now it's the font is small, so let's play around with the font a little bit. I'm going to change the font. And also make it bigger. Let's try 48. I think that works well. Right now, the text here is just like any other shape. When you click on the edge, you can rotate it. And I'm going to rotate it until I've got it so that fits in just like that. I like that. I'm happy with that. Next, I am going to change the colors that I'm using here. So right now it's black. I want to make the fill this orange shade, and I want to give it a stroke because that has a bit of an old-timey look to it. There you go. Let's see what that looks like. That's exactly what I was going for. Now that all the elements are in place and they are where they need to be, just as I thought, the guitar can be a little bit bigger. Right now, the width is 83.5 and the height is 200. Let's try a height of 250 and see how that looks. Right? Yeah, the guitar is more in proportion to the rest of the elements that are in this badge now. That's our Robert Johnson Music Award badge. A little bit of a rotation here should put everything in alignment. There we go. Now I'm going to export it. Going to File, Export, Export for Screens. By default, it's going to give your file the label Artboard 1. We're going to change that. We're going to call it Robert Johnson Award. And you pick the folder where you want to place it. I'm going to place it in my Train the Trainer TTT111, TTT12 subfolder. Select that folder. I'm going to say Export Artboard, and there it is right there. And that's it for this tutorial. Thank you.